When used to describe a protagonist in any story, the term overpowered, or OP, quickly becomes a dreaded term. Why bother delving into the backstory of a character who is already at the pinnacle of their abilities? Fortunately for anime, some stories with OP main characters still shine because of ridiculous shenanigans or overwhelming threats that make any audience root for the protagonists. Some anime with overpowered main characters feature powerful first episodes that could capture anyone's attention for viewers who simply don't have the time to experiment. Fortunately for anime fans, great anime with overpowered main characters existed long before mainstream titles. Here are the top 10 anime with an overpowered main characters. Isekai cheat magician, Taichi Nishimura, a regular high school student, and his childhood friend Rin Azuma are on their way to school one ordinary morning. A glowing light envelops them, transporting them to a fantasy world teeming with magical creatures. When Taichi and Rin arrive, they are confronted by a beast. They are quickly rescued by a group of adventurers, who warn them that traveling unarmed and inexperienced exposes them to the recently increased monster attacks. Taichi and Rin are sent to the guild to test their magical abilities and register as adventurers. The test they take, however, yields an unprecedented result. Taichi and Rin possess extraordinary powers far exceeding those of the average mage, instantly transforming them from ordinary high school students to the ultimate cheat magicians. Taichi and Rin learn to understand the full scope of their abilities and become acquainted with their new surroundings. However, as the duo investigates the reason for their transport and a possible return to their original world, unexpected trouble lurks in the shadows. Mao-sama Retry. Akira Uno is a regular working adult who manages the online game Infinity Game. Uno decides to shut down the servers once and for all 15 years after creating the game. However, as the clock strikes midnight, he finds himself in the body of middle-aged Hakuto Kanai, the demon lord of Infinity Game. He witnesses the demon Griol chasing after a little girl named Aku soon after his mysterious transportation. Despite dispatching the creature with ease, Hakuto is concerned. After all, he has no memory of creating the girl or the demon. Hakuto decides to investigate, doubting whether he is truly in his creation's world. Hakuto sets out on a journey with Aku as his guide and companion to discover who or what summoned him to this fantasy world, all while leaving chaos and destruction in his wake. Arifureta. Hajime Nagumo's ordinary life is upended when he and his classmates are summoned to a fantasy world and tasked with saving humanity. While his classmates have impressive combat abilities, Hajime is mocked for only gaining an inferior transmutation skill with no real offensive power. Hajime is betrayed by one of his classmates during an expedition in the Great Orcus Labyrinth, plunging him to the bottom of an abyss. Despite surviving the fall, Hajime is confronted with menacing monsters and misfortunes that send him into a bleak nightmare. Desperate to live and return home one day, he decides to fight for his life, only to meet Yu, an imprisoned vampire who is also trying to escape the labyrinth. Yu and a few others accompany Hajime on his journey to find a way back home, while gradually transforming from commonplace to the world's strongest. Dumbbell Nan Kilo Moteru. Hibiki Sakura, a gluttonous high schooler, is confronted about her ever-expanding waistline by her best friend, Ayaka Uehara, during a regular after-school grub crawl. Hibiki decides to join the newly opened Silverman Gym after her attempts at solitary exercise fail miserably. Hibiki meets student council president and school idol Akemi Saoryuin at her orientation. However, Hibiki soon discovers that she is in for a lot more than she bargained for. Not only is Silverman Gym teeming with world-class bodybuilders and athletes, but Akemi turns out to be a total muscle fetishist. Hibiki begins to leave, disgusted by the scene unfolding before her eyes, only to be stopped by trainer Naruzu Makio. Hibiki joins a gym after becoming completely smitten with her newfound Prince Charming. Hibiki must now adjust to her new lifestyle as a result of her spur-of-the-moment decision. Kenja no Mago. Merlin Wolford was once regarded as a national hero in the Kingdom of Earl's Hide, lauded for both his power and achievements. He prefers a quiet life, so he retreats deep into the rural woods, devoting his time to raising an orphan he rescued. This orphan is Shin, a regular salaryman from modern-day Japan who was reincarnated into Merlin's world while retaining his previous memories. Shin continues to amaze Merlin with his unparalleled talent in both magic casting and martial arts as the years pass. However, by his 15th birthday, it is clear that Shin has only developed his combat skills and nothing else, leaving him with obvious social awkwardness, a lack of common sense, and a mediocre sense of responsibility. Shin enrolls in the kingdom's magic academy to hone his skills and mature alongside other teenagers. However, living a normal life is impossible because he becomes a local celebrity almost immediately after arriving. Shin Wolford's high school life in the capital is followed in Kenja no Mago as he makes new friends, learns about the world, and fights the various forces of evil that surround him and his city. Toru Kagaku no Accelerator. Academy City is at the forefront of scientific and technological progress, best known for the creation of espers, people with superhuman abilities who can change the rules of reality. The level 5s are the most powerful, and the one known as Accelerator reigns supreme despite being weakened by a severe brain injury. By his side is the young girl known as Last Order, whom he clings to and vows to protect at all costs, despite his cold demeanor. Though Accelerator is recovering from his injury, the dark side of Academy City never sleeps, and he finds himself unwittingly drawn into a new conflict. When a mysterious young woman approaches Accelerator in search of Last Order, the highest-ranking Esper faces a venomous organization that has taken root in Anti-Skill, Academy City's peacekeeping organization. With dangerous forces on the move, threatening Last Order and her sisters, the self-proclaimed villain prepares to step back into the darkness. Vinland Saga. Thorfinn grew up hearing stories about old sailors who had traveled the seas and arrived in the legendary land of Vinland. It's said to be warm and fertile, with no need for fighting, a far cry from the frozen village in Iceland where he was born, and certainly not his current life as a mercenary. His new home is war. Despite the fact that his father once told him, "Nobody can accuse you of having enemies. There is no one it is acceptable to hurt," Thorfinn realized as he grew that nothing could be further from the truth. With each passing year, the war between England and Denmark worsens. Death has become the norm, and the Viking mercenaries are relishing it. Allying with either side will result in a massive shift in the balance of power, and the Vikings are content to make a name for themselves and take whatever spoils they can. Thorfinn must exact his revenge on Askeladd, the man who murdered his father, in the midst of the chaos. The only paradise for the Vikings appears to be the ongoing era of war and death. Dr. Stone. After 5 years of suppressed feelings, Taiju Uki, a high school student, is finally ready to confess his feelings for Yuzuriya Agawa. However, just as Taiju begins his confession, a blinding green light strikes the earth, terrifying everyone and turning everyone into stone. Several millennia later, Taiju awakens to discover that the modern world has vanished, as nature has flourished in the years that humanity has stood still. Taiju comes across one other living human among a stone world of statues, his science-loving friend Senku, who has been active for a few months. Taiju learns that Senku has devised a grand plan to resurrect civilization through science. Taiju's brawn and Senku's brains combine to form a formidable alliance, and they soon discover a way to resurrect the petrified. Senku's master plan, however, is jeopardized when his ideologies are challenged by those who awaken. Meanwhile, the cause of mankind's petrification remains unknown. So these were the top 5 anime with an overpowered main character. If you like this video, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any other video like this in the future. Also, let me know some of your recommendations in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next one.